the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around Mills at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Nuno Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Sebring is the scene of 2 top-tier endurance races this weekend, so while most are enjoying the thrills of modern sports cars, iRacing takes it a bit old school. Formula One held its first US Grand Prix right here, albeit at a very different layout. So it's not too strange for these open-wheelers to take to the Florida track. However, it'll be a rough day at the office for most, with the old bumpy surface testing the grit and bravery of our competitors. We'll see who comes away a winner as we get ready to watch the opening round of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Nick, thankfully it won't be 12 hours today, but I suspect it'll feel like it after our drivers have crossed the finish line.
Joe, you're absolutely right about that. The history here at Sebring is a rich one that starts as early as New Year's Eve of 1950 and as recently with the conclusion of the 1,000 miles of Sebring and the 12 hours of Sebring that we just saw yesterday. The history here is built into the some 80-year-old bumps on the former airbase, giving the track not only a lot of character, but also a lot of difficulty on both man and machine. Sports car teams run 24-hour races a couple times a year, but in terms of building a race car that will last the duration of the race, it's Sebring that they fear the most, despite that race being only half distance. The track here is absolutely brutal, especially in the terrifying Sunset Bend, bringing you onto the front stretch, and Turn 1, sending you into the technical infield portion. As the cars go skipping through the 17 turns today, we'll really get a chance to see how much bravery each driver has on this 6-kilometer course. It's an old track, and today we're using old cars. The best way to get to know this car-track combo better is to send you down to the tarmac itself in the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Johan Orlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Sebring. Coming down the front stretch, you can immediately see just how bumpy this track is. It'll continue through Turn 1, and it's hair-raising every time you send it in there. Make sure not to understeer wide, but hold to the right to the track after you exit. Turn 3 comes up fast, but offers some chances for an overtake. Just be sure to stay off the inside curb. Then we weave through 4 and 5. It's incredibly important that you take a late apex out of 5 because it leads onto a long, flat-out stretch that ends in a very popular passing zone. Put in as little steering input as possible through Big Bend, then drift to the left. The heavy braking of the hairpin will make it easy to come in too hot, and sometimes you can just watch the driver pass and you sail on through to the escape road. But if you're side by side out of here, be aware of how the pavement snakes back and forth so that you don't take each other out. Now we scream through 8 and 9, where once again, you'll mostly be trying to straighten the track out. That dumps you into Cunningham, which can be pretty ideal for overtakes. The exit is what's tricky since you've got to be gentle on the throttle. Lose it through Collier and the barriers are right next to the track, ready to gobble you up. Then, do your best to line up the braking for tower without tipping your wheels off to the left in the dirt. This inside curve is another one that I almost always try to stay off of for fear of losing the car. Finally, you've got a little bit of a breather, but it's important to get the proper line through Bishop's double apex and get your car over to the left. Keep the car settled under braking for Jean Debienne because you're taking a ton of speed through this right-left. Swing as wide as you can past the curb on the left and then give yourself a good launch out of Le Mans. It's a corner that's going to make or break your lap times because the Ullman Straight is the longest acceleration zone on the track. And though you can use the slipstream for passes, if you wind up too wide into Sunset Bend, all I gotta say is it's your funeral. It's a blind kink where you're braking on entry, and then it's bumps, bumps, and more bumps. Hit one wrong, and your day could be over in a flash. From off the corner, swing it as wide as you dare, and then hopefully you've now finished a lap around Sebring.
These cars are very low slung to the ground, so I expect the bumps should be pretty tricky out there. But the season means that we have a reset on the points with it starting anew today. So let's look at last season's results. Gernot Friesch wound up taking it all by about 104 points, which might sound like a lot, but isn't really too much since they're using the iRacing points system to hand them out. Matt Wood gave him a run for his money. Millward was even fewer behind Matt Wood back there in third, with Nickel Kochi trailing less than 30 behind in fourth. And then Adam Frazier in the very last round pops himself up to the top spot. Of course, doing this like they do in F1, we have a Teams Championship. Nick, how did that wind up?
The Teams Championship here in the Lotus 79 series, it only came down to 10 points difference to separate Leger Gitanes from Parmalat Racing Team Brabham. You see there Lambert, West, and Suarez taking the crown last year. Scuderia Ferrari, Spa, Safak behind them. John Player, Team Lotus, 54 points back. Walter Wolf Racing with Duby, Guerrero, and Alberton going to be 5th place behind them. So no change in the last round. That's how they came into the last round. That's how they leave. But the team standings, definitely something always to watch for here in the Classic Team Championship.
Now, if you've never watched these Lotus 79s race, we are in round one, as I said, and they do have drop weeks, however. Because they're using the official points, they use the same system of 4 drop weeks, but the teams only get 2. You got to be a little bit more consistent across the board for the Teams Championship. 23 laps today out at Sebring, and just as they did in 1978, there's no scheduled stop for fuel. However, you shouldn't expect stops for tires either. So this is basically a sprint race from start to finish. They have an incident cap of 17 incidents. That means you can get disqualified if you have enough off tracks or contacts with other cars, the wall, or spins. Those can get you incident points as well. So drivers need to be careful because they can disappear before the race is over. Michel Dudignan just set the fastest lap out there. He comes over from the Lotus 49. Shows he can handle downforce cars as we ride on board with Matt Wood to see what his first time lap is going to be. And it looks like a 49.8 gets him up to second place, front row for Matt Wood.
And really, Joe, no one getting very close to Dudignan. As soon as I say that, Michiel Vandenberg is going to take the top spot with a 48.6. Wow.
And Alex Millward completes the front row for now. This is a relatively long lap, so we're waiting for cars to get their second one in. There is still time to come back and overtake Dudignan. Another driver to watch out for right behind Michel would be Steve Bycroft. This is Friesch that we're watching, waiting to put his first time on the board. As he comes across the start-finish line, let's see what he's got underneath him, a 48.5. That is going to be good enough for pole. About a 10th faster than Vandenberg.
Juha Noralampi right now also making his lap. He's one to watch out for in this race.
Juha, a former champion, as well as a known hot shoe. The Preacher comes around the Sunset Bend. The car just bounced around over these bumps, sliding across that hairpin and across the line. 48.4. That is also good enough for pole. The bar keeps being raised. Wow.
So far, just Melina Mann yet to set a time on the lap right now, though.
And Dudignan just put his second one, and that bumped him up to third, but not enough to reclaim pole. This is Matt Wood that we're watching. He's been shuffled all the way down to ninth, but he goes faster on the second lap, and it's only good enough for seventh for Matt Wood. Vandenberg with his second lap, not faster. Fourth is the best he's going to see.
Ooh, Alex Millward.
Oh, Millward to the pole. Wow. What a surprise this new season is bringing us. There are some very fast drivers, and it is very, very shuffled up around there. I am amazed at how the top of the board looks very different from what we've seen in the past. Gernot Frisch is coming around to see if the current champion can try to jump up to the top spot to start things off with the win. Let's see what the number 1 car can do. A 48.3, not good enough. He's just less than 10th slower than Alex Millward.
Yeah, I don't think that any of these top 4 drivers in terms of iRating into this race really expected Alex Millward to get up there anywhere near the top 5. So it's the number 11 car right now at the top, followed by the 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, Juha Norlampi could yet spoil the party. This is his second time around coming to the line. He's got to beat a 48.2 and a 48.1 will do it. My goodness. Molina Mann, the last one out on course to finish up qualifying. And judging by the fact that the number 16 car is currently last on the timing sheets, I think we are safe to start to go through our starting grid. Your pole sitter is going to be Juha Norlampi with Alex Millward. Still an impressive run for the number 11 car, the outside of the front row. Gernot Frisch will be in third with Michel Dudignan. We have learned he's been dubbed M-Dog recently. We'll be starting fourth. Starting third. Fourth will be Michelle Vandenberg, with Matt Wood starting P5. Lear Hughes will be sixth, and Steve Bycroft in seventh. Then in eighth, it's Auguste Dorak in P8. Adam Fraser. Matt Wood starting eighth, Lear Hughes ninth, and John Atkinson rounds out our top 10. Pardon me for the mistakes there.
Rounding out the 18-car field today, Auguste Dorak going to be starting at 11th. Dustin Heroder back in 12th. Pablo Lambraris Suarez, he's going to be dubbed with the number 13 on the side of his L79 today. He's going to be starting 13th, followed by Gilles Tau, Tommy Mikhail Unhola in 15th, Barry West in 16th, Tim Reed in 17th, and rounding out the field, Molina Mann in the 16 car.
Cars now gridding up, waiting to kick things off here at the Florida circuit. It is going to be a fascinating race. We have two splits here today. They have lowered the split number here in iRacing for this season, so the drivers are basically the best of the best running here in what we're watching. 18-car field might sound a little small, but it is going to be very, very difficult to try and get places out there. You can see Frisch running the Brabham colors this season. Diach driver looking to repeat with yet another championship. Let's see what he can do coming from third on the grid. Engines start to rev. The lights come up. Green flag is out here for round one of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. Juha Norlampi with some bad wheel spin. This causes a three-way incident right on the front row as cars scatter to get around him. All three of them get going once again, but a little bit of shuffling in the back once more. Turns the car around, and it is Steve Bycroft who comes off the worst of it. Otherwise, everyone's still going despite a frantic start, and it is Dudignan back up at the front.
Dudignan, the first car to get through as they go through this first technical portion. Millward and Vandenberg rounding out the podium right now after what a hectic start that was right off the get-go.
I don't know how everybody managed to get around that madness. That was just crazy, and it has caused a lot of cars to try and scramble to get back forward. Frisch is all the way down in 10th, managed to make an overtake into the hairpin. Gilles Tau was sort of set off by that, and he's falling backwards as we watch them now head towards Collier, up towards Tower. Millward running second, Vandenberg running third. Lear Hughes finds himself jumping up to fourth after starting ninth on the grid. A nice job by him taking advantage of all that.
Great job by a lot of guys to get through. That could have collected more than half the field very easily, especially on that very enclosed front stretch here that Sebring has.
Just that little bit of wheel spin, and He tried to get the car back together. Cars tried to squeeze through, and that's what set off the spins. We'll go back and look at it later. We'll see if we get any passes into Sunset Bend before we jump back to that. Michel Dudignon leads them with a handy gap of over a second to complete the first lap. Millward being chased by Vandenberg, but not able to try and make an attack into the final corner. So let's take a look at this and see what exactly went down.
Like you said, just that little bit of wheel spin from Noralampi. It shot him over to the right. He caught it, but then just contact, and it all unfolded from there.
Highly unusual. Usually we don't see wheel spin once they get going. Wow, almost 4 or 5 wide, and then poor Steve Bycroft, just in all the checkup, was one of the ones turned around. I wonder if we could get, yeah, there we go. I was going to say, I'd love to see an onboard from one of the cars on this replay. Wow, Millward actually, despite having some of the contact, managed it very, very well.
Remember, Millward started on the outside, so he started on the right in the driver's perspective. So he came over all the way into the middle, backed out, swept around the number 7 as well, and then came over to the left. So very hectic start for Millward. He did a great job, only picked up a little bit of damage.
From Bycroft's view, he made an excellent avoidance at the first part, and then it was in the second half that it bit him. So we come back live now. Can report that we had a little bit of a battle during that between the likes of Tommy Winhola and Gilles Toe. Toe came out the best of that, grabbed 13th. Don't need to get the replay. In the meantime, Adam Frazier is in a nice little battle, actually in a clump of cars, and unfortunately no longer as he spins it out coming out of Le Mans.
Got up on that curbing. You always try to duck out coming into that turn, really try to straighten out that corner. Did a great job of that, but then just a little too hard on the power maybe on that curbing.
Did he actually touch the tires in this? It was awful close. I think he managed to avoid it, but a lot of time has been lost. He returns in P15. We're going to watch on board. Way off the apex.
Oof.
Just how to get back without having cars run into him as well. Brings him back in a clump of vehicles. Look at this. This is Molina Man just ahead of him. Steve Bycroft behind, and Tim Reed giving chase as well. Frazier looks like he's going to make short work of Man around the outside of Big Bend, down towards the hairpin. Much stronger on the brakes, maybe a little bit too strong, goes wide, but manages to hold the position. Move Frazier up to 14th.
Frazier, along with a lot of those guys after the start, really trying to move up quickly through the rest of the field. Everyone's still clumped together a little bit, getting more and more spread out though, so if they're going to get these passes done, now's the best time to do it.
Now, a group of cars that are not spreading out are our leaders. The top 3 are actually pretty close together. Dudignon is being chased by Millward and Vandenberg, and behind them, then it's a 3.5 second gap to Lear Hughes. So they are streaking away from the rest of the pack. But Michel Dudignon starting to deal with a little bit of pressure from behind, but I'd say he's used to that from what we've seen in the Lotus 49 series.
I think the majority of the pressure in this battle up front is Vandenberg trying to catch Millward. I think he's doing a great job of it too.
Oh, he's getting awful close. He's got a fantastic run down the front stretch as we ride on board. Ducks to the inside to turn 1. Not a lot of braking into this corner. Millward's going to try to hold the outside as they go through their wheel-to-wheel, but he cannot hold him off. Vandenberg moves himself up to 2nd.
We'll see how much more pressure Millward puts on Vandenberg as they come out of that tricky infield portion.
He's staying right with him, and this is a good spot. It's a passing zone down into the hairpin. He takes a little bit of a peek, tries to outbrake him. He gets next to him at the apex, takes the inside away, and after only a few corners, Millward says, "No, you don't. I'm back up to P2." Back in 5th. Don't forget Gurno Frisch, who was set back by all the craziness that we experienced at the start. He's to the inside into Cunningham on Matt Wood, but can he get it done? He's going to have to chop him off through Collier. Wood, though, I think gives up the ghost a little bit.
Yeah, Gurno Frisch on a mission as he saw him there through Tower, even pulling away from Wood. He is on a mission, though, to fight back up through this field quickly, and he's doing a great job of it so far just on lap 4.
Next on his list is Lear Hughes, and then he has to lessen the gap to the top 3 that we were watching earlier. Moving their way on to the Ullman Straight. And Gurno Frisch, nice run. He's gaining on the likes of Hughes. Not sure that he's got enough straightaway for a go into Sunset Bend, but maybe coming off the corner, Nick.
I'll tell you who is making a go in at Sunset Bend. It's Juha Noralampi, just a couple spots behind. He's getting around Dirac, and I think he is going to get that position, so he will move up into 7th.
Nicely done. Let's see the green car staying with him, and I can report that Lear Hughes now definitely under attack from Frisch. Couldn't make a go into turn 1 as they break for 3. If they start to battle, Matt Wood could come back at the likes of our current champion. Out of turn 5, trying to get the power down, and Lear Hughes with a nice bit of acceleration to keep himself that little bit safe. Oh, but not safe enough. Here he comes. Gurno Frisch down to the inside, but he's chopped off.
And that allowed Matt Wood as well to get close into them.
Boy, Hughes not afraid of the fact that Frisch is a dominant force, but it's not going to hold him back for forever. That was where he made the pass last time. Gurno gets another spot up to P4.
Gurno Frisch is definitely flexing his championship belt here early in the season.
And Juha Noralampi has caught up to this group after his overtake on Dirac. He's now trying to follow the likes of Gurno through this group. With Juha sitting in 7th, I wouldn't be surprised if he also was able to try and run down the podium cars. Coming onto the Ullman Straight, is this going to be enough? He's awful close to the back of Matt Wood. These cars punch a decent hole in the air, and that's bringing him forwards, but how brave is he? Brave enough to take a little bit of a look down to the inside into Sunset Bend. Brave enough to try and outbrake the likes of Matt Wood. Wood does not fight him, lets him through.
That's where Noralampi got around Dirac in the last lap, and now he's got Lear Hughes in front of him, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Noralampi make a pass before then, if that's where he sets up Hughes for as well.
And as all this has been going on, Dudignon has started to pull a gap on Millward and Vandenberg up at the front. Millward has not lost out to Michelle, recently at least, but Michelle's staying right underneath that gearbox. And I wonder if that is part of what's causing them to lose ground on Michelle. Maybe Millward a little bit distracted playing a rear guard?
I think maybe just a little. I think Millward and Vandenberg caught up in a battle amongst themselves a little too much to be concerned with Dudignon pulling away, and they might want to get going here because time's going to run out for him as they are side by side.
Yeah, this is definitely going to cost them time. Michelle making a move into Cunningham, still wheel to wheel, working their way through Collier. Vandenberg gets it done the hard way.
How many times have we seen so far, though, where Vandenberg gets in front of him and Millward gets him right back? Wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen again.
What if there's slightly different wing settings on the cars? That Millward's just got the straight line speed to try and get him back. But wow, Michelle is hustling the car. Look at him slide it through Jean Debian and into Le Mans. He gets a little bit of a stretch away from him up towards the Ullman Straight. Millward regaining some ground, not enough of it though. Now, Auguste Dirac seems to be lacking pace here because
he just had a little bit of a spin, I believe.
Oh. This was coming through Le Mans, actually. He managed to keep it pointed forward. I think we got the replay.
It was a nice little catch here by Dirac. He was already at the tail end of this line, so I don't actually think he lost too much position at the start.
Yeah,
It's just the momentum that he had after that.
Yeah, just one position. John Atkinson got him. We're going to watch on board here. I think it's the curb. If we watch him get a little bit of a bump here. Yeah, that car just starts jostling around. Or maybe he was watching our highlights and thought maybe he could get one. Oh, and we've got cars going off right now. Matt Wood and Juha Norlampi find themselves. Actually, that's Lear Hughes off track in the hairpin, losing positions. John Atkinson now trying to get a spot because of that.
Oh, Hughes got some help from Norlampi into the hairpin, it looked like, as well.
Let's take a look at the replay. Norlampi was miles back. I kind of don't blame Hughes for going for the apex. I would not have expected the fin to be coming through. I think the preacher sent a Hail Mary, but that one didn't work. So that moves them back to 6th for Lear Hughes, and Juha Norlampi back to 7th. Meanwhile, we've got a battle side by side between Millward and Friesch. Friesch has run down the number 11, and he's got him with a huge slide for Alex coming out of Sunset Bend that he somehow catches.
Yeah, Vandenberg really pulled away from Friesch, or from Millward, and then Gurno Friesch put on the afterburners to try to catch Millward, and he did a fantastic job of it. Gurno Friesch already up into the podium.
And it's going to be 3.5 seconds to catch up to Vandenberg. But Vandenberg's also got 3 seconds up to Michel Dudignon. The Frenchman, ever since he took the lead away, has been taking advantage of it. He may have missed out on the opening round of Lotus 49, but he's got some practice in this slightly more recent machinery and could romp away with this thing.
Take a look at Juha Norlampi. He continues to move up. He's on the outside right now of Lear Hughes, or the inside, I should say. Move him up another position.
This one a little bit more successful. The number 6 car lets him by, does not defend the inside on their way into Cunningham. Next up for Norlampi is Matt Wood. That would get him into the top 5 if he can run him down. We're only on lap 8, we should point out, of this race. We've had quite a bit of action in the first half. Wonder if this is going to settle down now, because it looks like many of the cars are getting spread apart. But Lear Hughes doesn't seem like he wants to settle down, because he's caught up to the back of Norlampi, even though he was recently overtaken. Looks around the outside of Sunset Bend, maybe looks for the over-under. Sure that he's got enough momentum for that, though. Oh, wow, look at the top of the screen, though, Nick. You talked about Friesch putting on the afterburners.
Yeah, he continues to do that. A purple lap from him. Fastest on the track. He is chasing down Vandenberg quickly. When they were on the Ullman Straight last time, he could see the tail end of Dudignon as well, so like you said, only on lap 8, now on lap 9. That's a lot of time for Gurno Friesch. I would not want to be Dudignon or Vandenberg right now, seeing Friesch come up in your mirror that quickly.
Those of you keeping track, it is 6.5 seconds from Friesch up to Dudignon. So there's your gap now at about 9 laps in. We'll check in on it later to see how much he's running him down. Of course, Michel could yet respond and try to pick up the pace himself. We'll see. There is your number 1, our current champion from the previous season. Well, let's go back to the mid-pack. We've been paying attention to about the top 10, but 11th has got itself a nice little battle. Adam Frazier and Tommy Unhola. Unhola, another one that tends to run in the Lotus 49, but he also is a regular here in the Classic Teams Championship. Right behind Adam Frazier by roughly 0.7 of a second. They work their way through Jean Debienne. onto the Ullman straight. Let's see if Tommy can get himself a nice little run. A little bit off the apex. That's not going to do it.
Looks like Frazier got this pass done around Unhola this lap, so Frazier, another one after starting 6th. He's moving up through the field after having an unfortunate lap 1.
Don't forget behind them as well, Steve Bycroft, who started this race 17th because of his spin on the first lap, is starting to chase them down. His contact doesn't seem to have given him too much damage. He's only about 2 seconds back, and if Frazier and Unhola get into a battle again, that could bring him up very quickly. Come through turn 3 into 4. This section of track used to be just one long fast sweeper into Big Bend. Now it's a little bit more complex. Unhola is not chasing down Frazier. He loses a little bit of ground to the number 9. The Virginia's driver very safe from the fin for the moment.
Take a look at P8 right now. John Atkinson Jr., he's under some pretty heavy fire from Dustin Heroder.
Heroder's recently gotten by Auguste Durac as well. Remember, Auguste made a little bit of a slide and Atkinson managed to get by. Then eventually Dustin made his pass. Just about half a second between the number 14 and the number 12 car. Through Bishop up to Jean Debian. Very strong on the brakes, but this is where it matters. Coming out of the right-hander, leading on to the Ullman straight. Atkinson knows it. He gets himself a handy little run.
I think Atkinson and Heroder were 2 drivers that really benefited from that lap 1 incident. They started further back, 10th and 12th respectively, and then gained a couple of freebies. Right now they're trying to hold them off while fighting with each other.
On the front stretch, Heroder has no answer. Just staying in his tire tracks, trying to wait for an opportunity to present itself. Because right now, it does not look like he's got that much of a pace advantage.
I keep checking in on P5 as well because I think Nora Lampe is cutting that gap to Matt Wood very slightly every lap. He's definitely having more and more of a challenge fighting his way up through the field, but I think Matt Wood knows that Nora Lampe is coming for him.
And Wood knows Nora Lampe as well. He has raced against him for many, many seasons now, and with Wood being our second place, our runner-up finisher in the points last season, he is no slouch. This is going to be a little bit of a tough ask for Juha Nora Lampe, I think, if he can get to the back of him, that is. Don't have to go to it, but just an update. Gernot Frisch has cut the gap to Vandenberg down to 2.5 seconds. The gap to Dudignon to 5.7. He's chipping away. So we watch this battle for P5 continue. Matt Wood himself about 3 seconds behind Millward, so he could try to run down the number 11 car, but he's got some work to do if he wants to try and make it happen. I think he's really more concerned, like you said, about Juha Nora Lampe behind him and just managing that gap to the Preacher.
Last lap, we were taking a look at Heroder and Atkinson. Heroder has really closed that gap. I thought he might send it into Sunset Bend right there, but he chose not to. Not quite close enough to try to make that move on the number 14 for 8th place.
He is awful close now, especially coming through turn 1. Gains a little bit more ground, really pushing the car to the limit all the way out to the dirt as they break for 3. He could have maybe taken a peek if he really wanted to, but he's waiting for a better chance. Tucks it down to the apex, much better. Oh, and almost a spin from John Atkinson. That actually causes Heroder to have to check up. Thankfully, he had enough of a gap to Durac, but not the case for Atkinson. Durac looks to try to get this position back from him. Going to have to do it around the outside of the hairpin. He somehow finds the grip both on the outside of the corner and coming off the corner. 2 positions lost with that one little mistake from Atkinson.
Like you said, one little mistake from Atkinson Jr., but a great save there for the number 14 machine. He could have easily had that turned around.
Let's watch from on board. Good heads up from Baroder as well. This is the pass. After that, we'll watch the almost spin that he had. You're gonna see, I could tell immediately as he went into that corner, I was like, that doesn't look like the right line. Just miles off the apex.
Yeah, he wasn't just straddling the curb. His left tires were up on the curb as well, so that could have easily ended poorly for him.
As we come back live, that changes your positions with Baroder up to 8th, Dirac to 9th, and Atkinson down to 10th. Here you can see them in a line heading through Sunset Bend. Prix continues to set fastest lap after fastest lap. Just incredible. Gurno just, he has no quit in him.
I think we have a little bit of a scrap going on for 5th place right now. Nora Lampe has really caught up to the likes of Matt Wood. We've been watching that gap close by the 10th every single lap, but I think now might be the time for Nora Lampe to make an overtake.
He's continuing to apply the pressure. And Wood, to his credit, started this race in 8th. We keep talking about the positions gained from the start, but I mean, Wood has, he's made good of those that he's gained from that and really hasn't handed them back too quickly. Let's see what Nora Lampe can do. It's now down to 0.4 of a second. It's been very slow inroads for the number 2 car. And the bad news, I think, for Juha in all this is that he's continuing to watch Gurno, who tends to be his rival in the points races, just slip away bit by bit. As Gurno tries to chase down the leaders, Juha just trying to crack into the top 5. This is not going to be a good way to start the points chase for the Preacher. I almost wonder, sorry to interrupt, I almost wonder if maybe Juha got a little bit of damage from his contact on that opening salvo.
He definitely could have. I know a couple of guys. I know Alex Millward had a little bit of front wing damage. That might be hurting him a bit through a couple of portions of the track, but I wouldn't be surprised either if Nora Lampe got a little bit of damage as well.
Sometimes it isn't visible damage that you can see. It could be suspension damage. Wow, Gurno just got a 48. The first driver this race to hit the 48s in the race itself. He is now only 1.3 behind Vandenberg. He should be getting a little bit of slipstream on the long straightaways.
Oh, Nora Lampe sent it into the hairpin that time to try to get around Matt Wood. Almost got it done, but Matt Wood, he's done a great job defensively today. He continues to hold down the 4th and 5th.
And don't forget, as we ride on board with Matt Wood, look at that green car just behind them. That's Lear Hughes. He's been following Nora Lampe as he gains on the likes of Matt Wood, basically just kind of stalking him, and he could be hoping for this battle to erupt so that he could get a 2-for-1.
Yeah, I remember Hughes had that incident with Nora Lampe a handful of laps ago. I thought for sure once Nora Lampe got around him that he would just set sail, but no, he's really kept pace with these guys.
Should point out, you may have noticed that, whoa, was a big slide through Le Mans. That didn't help Nora Lampe, but it didn't hurt him. Actually, Matt Wood did not get a good exit himself. This is the best run we've seen from Juha Nora Lampe. Down towards the inside of Sunset Bend. He's got a wheel to the inside. He's fully next to him now. Outbrakes him into the corner, but can he get it off of it? Matt Wood looking for the over-under to try to power it off of there. There's just not enough grip. Give 5th place to the number 2 car.
And like you said, don't forget Lear Hughes. He got a good run through there.
He's now right to the gearbox of Matt Wood. Turn 1 doesn't offer anything but 2 wheels off into the dirt for Matt Wood. Could slow him up. Oh, just not enough yet again. Lear Hughes has to wait in line. 9 laps to go now. Getting towards the end of the race. I don't know if the leader is possible for Prix, but second place definitely looks doable.
Oh, it does indeed. Prix is really closing in on Michiel Vandenberg right now. That number 4 car, his mirrors are getting more and more full of Prix.
They are reeling in Dudignon, I should say. So while Prix has cut that down to 3.5 seconds to our leader, Vandenberg has now got it down to 2.2. Now that is not attacking range, but if Michel Dudignon makes a mistake, it could wind up costing him the lead. And Dudignon is not immune to mistakes. We've seen in the 49 series that he does make them from time to time. Going to be 8 laps to go at the line. This is what we love to see in racing. Instead of the top cars spreading apart, the lead 3 slowly getting closer and closer to each other. What is in store and the final laps. Back in 8th, a little bit of action that we've got going on. Dustin Hiroder and Adam Frazier going side by side through Sunset Bend, also through turn 1, potentially. Goes Dirac, though. He is a little bit slow into the corner. That's going to give the spot to Hiroder. Well, that was unexpected.
Yeah, I think Dirac was making a pass on Frazier earlier in that lap, and Hiroder just kind of came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden we have a 4-car bunch up here.
Yeah, that's Atkinson who's behind them. Frazier sort of stuck in the middle now with Dirac. In fact, he's got a fantastic run on Urguz. He's going to go defensive into the hairpin. Or is that an attack? That might actually be an attack. He's trying to go on the inside of Hiroder.
It might be a little of each. I think he did a good job of balancing that thing there.
It's definitely a defense, though. As he was slow off the hairpin, Frazier can't do anything with it. All this battling means that now they've got Tommy Unhola behind them and Steve Bycroft getting close to the back. We could have a 6-car fight for 8th place.
They are fighting for every single spot on this track right now.
Bishop. It's another decent run for Frazier, but he decides to break a little bit early on Dirac. Ooh, this is where I think it's going to get juicy. They're going to get a lot of cars with a slipstream down the Ullman Straight, including actually Aguz. Dustin Hiroder looking very, very vulnerable as that green machine ducks to the inside into Sunset Bend, but he's just not brave enough on the brakes. Hiroder holds him at bay.
Behind them, you also had John Atkinson trying to get around, or trying to hold down Tommy Unhola behind him. Unhola got real close to him, and now he's going to go on the outside into turn 1.
Unhola trying to do it the hard way. Atkinson just can't find the grip over the bumps, so the Finn manages to move himself into 11th. Nicely done. This has split them apart slightly. We've now got 2 packs of 3 instead of a pack of 6. Don't have to go to it yet, but I can report that Prix is now within half a second of Vandenberg. If that gets closer, I'll interrupt. A little bit of a look to the inside by Bycroft into the hairpin. Atkinson holds him back.
If they stay all strung together like this, that Ullman Straight is really going to create another opportunity for these guys to get that slipstream. Like you said last lap, they might all fan out going into the last turn.
As we ride on board with Dirac, my goodness, he is all over the back of Hiroder, practically climbing on top of his gearbox as they come up to Bishop. A whole lot of braking into Jean Debienne. He's going to take a little bit of a peek, but comes back to the racing line. And second place is finally erupting. It is now 2 tenths between Prix and Vandenberg.
Gurno Prix has finally caught him as they hit the line there. 6 laps to go now for Gernot Frisch, not only to get around Vandenberg, but also to see what kind of speed he has for Dudignon for the lead.
Gerner's going to have to dispose of Vandenberg very quickly if he wants to try and get the win in this race. He could try to run down Dudignon, but if he starts to battle with Michel Vandenberg, that is, then he's going to lose time very quickly to the Frenchman up at the top spot. And so far, he's not looking super decisive on this. He's gotten to the back of him, but he's just not close enough.
He is close enough to get a bit of a slipstream on the Ullman straight. He might be waiting for that opportunity, because if he gets in front of Vandenberg now, Vandenberg's going to easily get him back there, I think.
Up through Tower now. This is another decently long straight. Could this bring him in? Following through Bishop. He chops off a few feet at a time. Up to Jean Debian. This is the critical corner. Oh, he is looking very close. A little bit wobbly. Oh, but off the apex for Michel Vandenberg. Is this it? Did Nick call it right? Gernot Frisch is within the slipstream. He is gaining. Defensive move for second place from Michel Vandenberg. He's not going to let him have it easily. He's still got a nose pass coming into the corner. A big catch from Michel Vandenberg is going to hand it over to Gernot Frisch. That was exactly what he needed.
Yeah, I did not personally think Frisch was going to be able to make that work on the outside, but Vandenberg with that big slide, that big bobble through the bumps, that really helped Gernot Frisch. Now into turn one, Vandenberg trying to give it all he's got, but just can't quite get in striking range of him right now.
We've got to go to 8th place. It's 3 wide down into Sunset Bend, and Adam Frazier comes out the best, or does he? He slides incredibly wide. That was Heroder in the mix, Auguste Durac in the mix, and it is not over yet. Ducking down to the inside, we've got the likes of Heroder trying to come back at Frazier. No, Frazier coming at Heroder. There's a lot going on between these guys. Frazier does try to return the favor down into turn 3. Tommy Unhola looking to the outside of Auguste Durac. That doesn't quite work. It
Absolute chaos.
Unreal. I wish we had, if we didn't have that battle going on at that time. Looks like things happening yet again with Auguste Durac trying to fend off from Tommy Unhola through the hairpin. We saw Tommy pull that move before, and he gets it done again to get himself into 10th.
And now Durac under fire from Atkinson.
Frazier as well. You have to have eyes everywhere. That was Heroder that was side by side with Frazier. Oh, as he cuts him off coming into Tower. Adams still manages to keep the speed. They're going to go side by side on their way through Bishop. He has to swing very wide through there. Dustin Heroder manages to hold onto the car and keep the inside into Jean Debian and deny Frazier.
Oh, way off pace behind him.
Oh, and he gets a little bit of Auguste Durac, which means Steve Bycroft gets into him. It has been a horrible day for Steve. The Hoosier, unfortunately, finds himself with contact for the second time today. There's only so long this craziness could keep going.
Yeah, I was wondering how long that was going to last, and there's your answer there.
Bycroft's at a front row seat. Unfortunately, the view was a little bit too close. It was Unhola who lifted the back of Durac, and then because of the short amount of reaction time that Bycroft had, he just ran right into him and damaged his suspension. That's the end of his day. 4 laps to go now. This is Matt Wood and Johan Norlampi leading the likes of Lear Hughes for 5th place. Ever since Norlampi got past Wood, he's not been able to leave him behind and not been able to run down Millward. Oh, something happened to Atkinson. Oh, Atkinson in the hairpin on his own.
Yeah, lots of power down out of the hairpin. up on the curbing, maybe just a little bit. I don't know if actually if the curbing had much to do with that. But trying to keep these guys in touch, and Atkinson overdrove it.
He's able to get the car going, but I think it is limping. Yeah, that does not look like it's handling well. Up in 8th place, Roeder and Frazier are cars that are still left, and Unhola didn't get too much damage from getting the back of Durac. They're still trying to sort it out on who's going to take this 8th place. In fact, he's got a great run on Frazier. He's going to go to the inside. Frazier gives him space. Can he hold him off? No, he's losing grip now. And that 9th place goes to Tommy Unhola. He is going to get a slipstream down the front stretch. Nora Loppe. Nora Loppe loses 2 spots. What happened here? There is a little bit of damage on the front wing before the incident. Oh, he touched the grass.
Yeah, he did, and then he just couldn't get the power back going, it looks like, immediately.
Just pushed the limits of the track too far. Just barely touched it. And it was a costly mistake. Lear Hughes is smiling, though. Not only did it give him that one position, it puts him much closer to Matt Wood. He could find himself in 5th. Back up to the front. Frisch, after getting by Michel Vandenberg, is now within a second of Michel Dudignon. I doubted him for a moment, but the #1 car, our current champion, is now within striking distance of the Frenchman.
Yeah, this is just an unbelievable, an incredible drive for Gernot Frisch today after that lap 1 incident. Fighting his way back up to the field. He started 3rd, had that incident, and all the way now. He is already there on the back of Dudignon.
I hope we are able to stay on this. We've had so much action through the rest of the pack. But this is what this race has essentially been building to with 2 laps to go. What can he do with Gernot Frisch? It is only 4 tenths between them now. Gernot clearly has the pace over him. Braking hard into the hairpin, he cuts it down by another 10th.
If he gets around him now, is Dudignon going to be able to set him up on the last lap? I don't know. Frisch has to keep all of these factors in mind. He's got to make a pass around Dudignon, but also make sure he can defend him if he does get around him.
From what I know of Michel, I'm pretty sure he is going to go ultra defensive on Gernot. I do not think that he is just going to pull over and let him through. Michel's certainly going to prefer to lead. Meanwhile, Lear Hughes, I said that he got to the back of Wood because of what happened, and he's already going on the attack. He looks to the inside of Tower, but he can't get his nose in. Oh, but wheels off into there for Matt Wood. Somehow he finds the power. Lear Hughes can't get enough of a run. He's going to stay with him through Bishop. Maybe he could set him up on their way into the Ullman Straight. Let's see what he's got.
Hughes tried to get a crossover move done there. Just like you said, just didn't have enough drive off the corner to get up to the back of Wood.
White flag waves. I can report that Frisch did not get enough of a run on the #3 car. He's still trailing right behind him. Opportunities dwindling away for Gernot Frisch with every corner they go through. He is within 4 tenths of a second. And don't forget, in all of this, if it gets too heated, Vandenberg is only 2 seconds back.
It's going to be a grandstand finish, to say the least, here for Gernot Frisch, just trying to make a move on Dudignon. Is he really going to wait until the last turn? It might be his best opportunity.
It might be all that he can do. It looks like he's pushing hard to get to the back of Dudignon, but you can see there, poking his nose inside now. He's trying to get into the head of the #3 car. Through Collier. Half a lap to go now. The #1 waiting for the chance. looking to see what he can do. Out of the tower, he stays with him. He is only a couple car lengths back. That's all he needs to get the run to Sunset Bend. Is it going to be like Nick said? He closes in under braking through Jean Debienne up to Le Mans now. This is the critical corner. Look at Dudignon try to cut off the apex as close as he can, and it works. He puts Gernot Frisch at arm's length. Gernot still closing in due to the draft. Is this going to be enough? They come up to Sunset Bend. Is he going to dive his nose in? He's just not close enough. He tries halfway through the corner, cuts him off at the middle of the turn. Michel Dudignon successfully manages to hold him back. He's going to take the win here in the opening round with Frisch taking second. Vandenberg closes off your podium. As Millward takes fourth, Matt Wood leading a battle for sixth. Wood going to get a top five. Learhugh's going to manage to hold on for sixth, and Juha Norlampi settles for seventh. Tommy Unhola and Dustin Herroder have lost track of Adam Frazier. It is now a battle for ninth to settle out the last of the top 10, and a little bobble from Dustin out of the final corner is going to keep Tommy in ninth.
Auguste Dirac trying to hold off the likes of Pablo Suarez right now. Suarez going to go to the outside into Sunset Bend, try to get a big run onto the front stretch. I don't know if that's going to be enough, though, to get around the number 8 of Dirac. Oh, he did a good job there, though.
And that is going to be it for the battles on track, with Dirac taking 11th and Suarez 12th. West going to follow them home. We didn't even get to talk about poor Barry. He was sort of anonymous this race. So, man, Reed and Atkinson going to be the last cars to actually finish. Only one DNF, despite the craziness out on track. So, let's take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. On screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. One of the most impressive set of final laps I've seen in this series, and almost any series I'd say that we covered here on GSRC. But the Lotus 79 guys once again put on a fantastic show, and Michel Dudignon took the win. It was 1.5 tenths at the line. Frisch tried in the final corner to get the pass done, but just could not peel it away from him. He'll take second place. It was only 2 seconds back to the leader for Michelle Vandenberg, who managed to take third. And then how about Alex Millward? It was mentioned at the start by the likes of Nick. The number 11 on this car means that he is going to take a heap of iRating today. Matt Wood gets a top 5 behind him. Lear Hughes was in a close fight with Matt at the end. He takes 6th place. Johan Orlampi sounds a little bit disappointed in the chat post-race. He started on pole. He handed it away with a bad start, managed to collect himself to 7th. Adam Frazier finishes P8. And then from 15th to 9th for Tommy Unhola. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Dustin Roeder rounds out your top 10.
After starting in 11th, Auguste Durac, after a hectic race, he's going to finish there in 11th. He held off Pablo Lambrares Suarez at the end, who moves up 1 position in this race up to 12th. Barry West, like you said there, Joe, before the break, he had a really quiet race today, but not a bad one. He went from 16th to 13th. Behind him, Gilles Taux in the number 18 car. He is going to remain in 14th after starting there. Melina Mann is going to finish 15th. Timothy Reed, 16th. He's going to be the last car on the lead lap. And man, after such a hectic race, a great job to all these drivers because only 2 DNFs this whole race. John Atkinson Jr. in 17th and Steve Bycroft in 18th, rounding out your field.
And we've got our second place driver with us, Gernot Frisch, who certainly had an exciting one, especially at the end, but it seemed to really kick off at the beginning. Gernot, let's start there with the very start of the race. Did you see the spinning tires of Juha, and what was going through your mind as soon as that happened? And then tell us about your experience after the tip.
Yeah, hi Joe. It was quite an exhausting race with a little bit too much drama maybe. In the beginning I saw that Juha had lots of wheel spin and he almost lost it, so he got to the right side of the track. I don't know why he started pulling to the left afterwards, because we were running 3 wide there, and I think he had contact with, must have been Michel or someone. I got caught up in that, and then I got another bump in the midfield. It was a really tough start. For some reason, I didn't have major damage, so the car was still running really well, and my pace was even better than the last race. Don't know why. So in the end, it turned out to be a very exciting race.
So let's then jump forward towards the end of the race. You had disposed of Vandenberg. It seemed like you made a wonderful, decisive move to try and give yourself the best opportunity on Dudignon. As you reeled him in bit by bit, did you have a plan to try and overtake him? And was the plan to try and do it there in Sunset Bend? Obviously not necessarily on the last lap, but to use the slipstream?
Yeah, exactly. I was hoping to get a chance at Sunset Corner, or maybe the corner before, get a good draft. On the last straight, because my top speed seemed quite good. But also, Michel was pretty fast on the straights, and especially in the last lap, I wasn't close enough on the straight. So, I tried at least to make him a little bit nervous in the last corner. Didn't really go for the gap, because it would have ended up in a crash, maybe.
It made me pretty nervous when you poked your nose in there at the final apex. But 1/10 back, you won the championship last season. You've started off with at least a second place. What does this tell you for this season? Do you expect Dudignon to challenge you? Do you think he'll be showing up for the rest of the races?
Well, I don't know if he's gonna show up. At least if he shows up, he's always competing for wins here. He's a Lotus specialist, not only for the 49, but also for the 79, and he's a former series champion. So it's always a tough job to race against him. Congrats to him. Perfect start into the season. Also, congrats to Michiel for a great third place.
Absolutely. And congrats to you for second place. That was Gernot Frisch, who was a 10th and a half behind at the line today. Up next, we have a driver in fourth who impressed both of us. Nick is talking to Alex Millward.
I am indeed. And Alex, this was an incredibly hectic race. Gernot said it best there, just absolutely exhausting. Your race, though, really started before the race even happened, because the big surprise to everyone was we had the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 cars in qualifying, and out of nowhere, here comes the 11 car.
Yeah, well, I'd probably have higher iRating, but I keep venturing into GT3 and GTE and losing. So don't be fooled by my position number.
So after the race actually got started, you had the chaos really continued. Lap 1, what do you see, and how do you get through that? Oh, and I believe we have lost Alex.
Yeah.
At least for the moment.
There
you are.
Sorry, technical issues. Yeah,
No problem.
lap 1 was tough as we got off the line. Saw you have a big spin as we were accelerating, and I just saw a gap and went, and it kind of felt like he drifted in and kind of got the pinch between Gernot and Juha. So that was front wing damage straight away. Yeah, after that, I thought my pace actually was holding up quite well. But when the tyres got up to temperature, up to pressure, something just went awfully wrong with the balance of the car, and I had to start messing with the rear arb and the front arb. So I got there in the end, and I was actually surprised I kept it at 4th because I thought I'd really start suffering later on. But yeah.
Yeah, you didn't pick up too much damage, maybe just a little bit front left wing damage after that lap 1 incident. But after that, like you said, you were basically all alone. And did it surprise you that like you just said, it surprised you were able to hang up there? But despite Gernot Frisch coming through, you were practically all by yourself in no man's land for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I had the likes of Matt Wood and Lear Hughes behind as well, so I was expecting them to catch up pretty quick with the damage I had, because I was losing a lot of time per lap. Challenging Gernot in the race previous, and this one I just couldn't. There were a few corners where the car wasn't responding. But yeah, happy with that. I guess they mustn't have put in a lot of practice. That's all I can think. Usually they're quicker than me, so.
So like you said, we shouldn't let the iRating fool us. You've definitely got some speed in that Lotus 79. Next week, we go to Mid-Ohio. You think you can start mounting up a championship run?
I don't know. I can't remember the last time I raced there in this car, so we'll see how it handles, see what the technicians back at the garage can do.
All right. Well, congratulations on your 4th place finish today. It was a great run for the number 11 car there of Alex Milward. We will hopefully see you in the booth sometime soon.
Cheers all. Thanks. Good racing. Gonna have a shower.
All right. Sounds like a plan for a very tired Alex Milward after an exhausting race. Joe, I believe you've caught up with another driver.
Yep, Tommy Unhola, who we actually, because of all the craziness up ahead, we failed to see. He did not get off the line initially, but Tommy, that set up what I would call almost a hurricane of a race for you. You were in the middle of incredible action.
Oh yes, it was interesting race and lots of action. It was really fun. There was well, couple of things that was not so fun, but yeah, and I can't believe the start. I mean, I was just concentrating to release the clutch as early as possible, and I'm kind of tired as I have been waking up so early, and yeah, it was almost perfect, and car just didn't go, and I did it again, and then I realized that I forgot to put it into gear. And
Oh, no.
yeah, it's first time happening. I can't believe I did it. And this car doesn't want to put it in the first gear if you have revs on. So I had to wait to revs to lower and then go. But luckily I didn't lose so much time as there was cars battling in front of me, and I got quickly going, and it was really interesting one.
You collected yourself and managed to work all the way up to 9th place, but to get there, you in the final, I'd say maybe 8 laps or so, found yourself battling with the likes of Fraser, Heroder, Durac, many drivers, and actually made at one point we saw contact with Oguz. Did you get any damage from that when you lifted his car up?
Oh yeah, that actually I don't know who it was, but before the straight into last corner, was it?
The right
Yeah,
hander.
yeah, I guess it was. I messed up a bit, and he probably thought I spun or something, and I was not expecting him to try to overtake me there, so I turned in and thought I can make it, and then I saw him, and I think I had time to slow down a bit, but we made contact, and I'm sorry about that, as I wish I saw you, so it would have been cleaner if I left a bit earlier, but I just saw it too late, and we made a bit of contact.
Well, we're glad to see that you not only managed to finish, but managed to beat Dustin Herroder to the line to get yourself 9th place. Congratulations. Hopefully the next one's exciting, but not quite as exciting for you.
Oh yeah, that was interesting, but it kept me awake, but I can do a bit relaxed race next time. Yeah, thank you.
It's Tommy Unhola who gets a top 10 today. One quick interview that we want to do. Driver, we mentioned we didn't get to see a whole lot of. Nick is going to catch up with Barry West so that we can find out about his race.
I have caught up with Barry West here at Sebring, and like you said, Joe, we weren't able to watch Barry much today. We had a lot of chaos all over the track. But Barry, how's the popcorn tasting back there after watching everything from back there, further back in the field this whole race?
Yeah, it was fun. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me fine?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. No, I had a good start. I missed the turn one melee. Got around the outside, and I was just behind Juha, Gurno, and we were going into. We're just watching what they were doing. Really, I was behind Pablo. First lap was going really good. I thought there's a few places, people giving them away, and then because the three of us were dueling. Tommy, I think he got stuck on the line. He obviously had a bit of red mist, and he came storming up. I wasn't aware he was there. I've never been overtaken there before. I was on the racing line following the cars in front, and he threw one at the inside, and I didn't see him, and I just touched. We just touched, and he came off no worse at all, and I went into the grass. And by the time I came back out, I was in plumb last place. So it was just a matter of catch up and try and recover anything I could then. I did get some fun passing people, but especially in that last turn, it's a tricky one to overtake. And it's a good fun though. If you can do the undercut halfway through the bend. But yeah, I enjoyed the race, but should have been up where Tommy was, top 10, top 12 at least. But that's the way it goes. I'm sure I'll catch him by surprise in the season sometime.
Yeah, you had a bit of catch up to do today. At one point, I think with 5 or 6 laps left, you had 6 cars all in a big gaggle in front of you. Were you just holding back, waiting for something to erupt there, like the lap 1 melee, or were you just kind of, or were you really trying to push hard and get up there and make it a 7-car battle?
No, I was pushing hard all the way through the race. Really, it's very difficult to be consistent on this track because of the bumps. Well, it must be because of the bumps. I would think it's quite a longish lap, I suppose. But it just seemed to be, you push and push and push, and you can lose so much time if you just hit a bump and you have to brake more. But yeah, I was pushing. I was catching Pablo, and then I made a slight error, and he pulled away again. And the previous race, same thing happened. I was trying to chase Pablo down, and I was gaining on him. And then 2 laps to go, I threw it off the track. So it's just about making sure you stay on the track this place. But yeah, that was. I wished I'd have seen Tommy. I'd have probably given him more room. But we were on, 3 of us in line on the racing line, and he threw a torpedo at the inside, sort of thing. And it was, I'm turning in, too late for me to do anything. But yeah, apart from that, it was quite a good race. I look forward to racing everybody. It's quite a strong strength of the field by the looks of it this afternoon. So let's hope this goes through all the season.
Well, we definitely look forward to hearing from you then. Hopefully, you have a little bit better races moving forward. You can keep up with the bunches of battles in front of you. But other than that, congratulations on your great race today. Moving forward little by little and finishing 13th there in the number 15 car.
Yeah, but thanks. 3 places from where I started from, so that's can't be sniffed at. Thanks.
All right, that was Barry West there in the number 15, finishing 13th today. Joe, then we can finally catch our breath, I think.
Yeah, thank goodness. We're going to close up. Those are some good interviews as well. I always like hearing these drivers' perspectives of the action, since it's very different from inside the cockpit sometimes. But we, of course, want to thank the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season. And as well, thanks the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Nick, Amjed, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube page if you're not there right now, and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. As we mentioned, we're going over to Ohio next week, Mid-Ohio, March 24th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have a couple upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.